Something was off in Cleveland. Not the kind of off where you chalk it up to a bad week and move on. The kind of off that makes you rewind the tape, watch it again, and think, wait, is this actually falling apart? Because here's the thing about NFL offenses. When they break down, they usually do it loud. Turnovers, penalties, blown assignments. You can see the chaos. But what was happening with the Browns? That was quieter, subtler, and honestly a lot more concerning. Because the problems weren't screaming at you from the scoreboard. They were whispering from the sidelines. And if you were paying close enough attention, you caught it. Let's start there, the sidelines, because that's where the first real signal came from. Jeudy. Watch him. Not during the plays, but between them. The body language. The reactions. The moments where his energy just didn't match what the offense was trying to do around him. Now look, receivers get frustrated. It's football. Emotions run hot. Nobody's going to be perfectly composed every single snap. But this wasn't one bad reaction after one bad play. This was a pattern. A consistency to the frustration that started raising real questions. Was this just a tough stretch for a talented player? Or was something underneath the surface starting to crack? And once you start asking that question, you can't unsee what comes next. Because shift your eyes from the sidelines to the field itself, and the picture gets even more uncomfortable. Routes that didn't develop the way they should have. Timing that felt half a second late on play after play. A quarterback releasing the ball expecting a receiver to break one direction, and the route going the other way entirely. That's not just a miscommunication. That's a system showing its fractures in real time. Now here's why that matters more than people realize. NFL offenses aren't improvised. They're built on an almost mechanical precision. The quarterback doesn't wait to see where his receiver ends up. He throws to where the receiver is supposed to be based on the route and the timing. It's a contract. A silent agreement between every player on that field. And when that contract breaks down, when routes go one way and throws go another, the whole thing collapses. Not dramatically, quietly, play by play. And right in the middle of all of it, Shedeur Sanders, a young quarterback still building his confidence, still earning the trust of the people around him, trying to manage an offense that wasn't giving him anything clean to work with. Think about how hard that is for a second. Because this position, quarterback, is the one role on the field where everything comes back to you. Every missed connection, every broken play, every moment where the offense stalls and the crowd goes quiet. It all lands at the quarterback's feet, whether it was his fault or not. That's the deal. And Shedeur was dealing with that weight in the middle of an environment that wasn't stable around him. But here's what stood out. He didn't collapse. There were plays where you could literally see him adjusting mid-rep, holding the ball a little longer, scanning differently, refusing to just force something that wasn't there. That's not the reaction of a player who's given up. That's awareness. That's a guy fighting to keep things moving even when the system around him was fighting back. Did everything work? Absolutely not. There were drives that went nowhere, plays that should have connected and didn't. Moments where the offense looked like two separate units, sharing the same field without actually playing together. But the why of those failures? That's where it gets interesting. Because this wasn't all falling on one person. It was distributed. Multiple pieces out of sync at the same time. And that's a different kind of problem than people were treating it as. See, when fans and analysts looked at this and said the offense just isn't clicking, they were right, but they weren't getting to the root of it. Because clicking is what happens when trust exists. When a receiver knows exactly where he's supposed to be, runs to that spot with complete commitment, and trusts the quarterback will put the ball there. When a quarterback trusts that his receivers have bought into the system fully enough that he doesn't have to think, he can just play. That trust wasn't there. And once trust disappears from an offense, you can have all the talent in the world and still look like a mess. So what do? You reset. And that's exactly what happened. The message from the coaching staff stopped being about adjustments and started being about structure. Do your job. Run your route. Be where the play says you're supposed to be. No freelancing. No improvising. No showing up to the huddle with a different agenda than the play that was called. Everyone accountable. No exceptions. Now, resets like this don't always get announced. You don't always see it in a press conference or a headline. But you feel it in how a team practices, how coaches respond to mistakes, how quickly corrections get made. And when it's real, when the message actually lands, you start to see it on the field. Cleaner routes. Sharper timing. A quarterback who's trusting the system again instead of trying to outmaneuver it. And that's what this moment was really about. Not just fixing broken plays. Re-establishing the trust that an offense needs to actually function. Because you can rep plays 1,000 times, but if players aren't mentally and emotionally aligned with each other and with the system, those reps won't save you when the game speeds up. Here's what makes this reset even more significant, though. It didn't just change how plays looked. It changed who gets valued. Because once you draw a hard line on accountability, a very simple filter starts working its way through the roster. Who executes? Who stays locked in when things get hard? Who can be trusted to run the same route the same way every time, not just when they feel like it? Those questions start getting answered fast. And the answers reshape everything. Because coaches naturally start leaning toward the players who give them consistency, who bring discipline, who make the quarterback's job easier instead of harder. And the players who can't meet that standard, they start to become a problem the organization has to solve. Which is why the conversation around roster decisions started shifting. Who fits what this offense is trying to become? What kind of receivers can operate within this system? Guys who stretch the field but stay disciplined. Guys who run clean routes and are where they're supposed to be every single time. Talent matters. But reliability? Reliability is what wins in January. And this is where everything starts pointing in one direction. Because when you look at all of it together, the reset, the tightening of structure, the emphasis on timing and discipline, the kind of player the organization now clearly values, it's all building toward the same thing. This offense is being constructed around Shedeur Sanders, not in a flashy, headline-grabbing way. Quietly, deliberately, through every decision being made about how this team is being built and how it operates day to day. And that matters more than any single game or any single stretch of bad performances, because it tells you something about where this is all going. If you're watching this on Brown's Breakout, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is far from over, and you're going to want to be here for what comes next. Because what we just watched, the frustration, the disconnection, the broken plays, the tension on the sidelines, that might not have looked like progress. But that's often what progress actually looks like before it clicks. Teams don't grow through comfortable stretches. They grow through moments exactly like this one, where the pressure exposes the cracks, and the organization has to decide whether to paper over them or actually fix them. Cleveland chose to fix them. Now the test is whether those fixes hold. Can this offense stay connected when the game speeds up and the stakes get real? Can the timing hold when a defense is scheming specifically to take it away? Can every player in that locker room stay locked into the system when things don't go perfectly, because things won't always go perfectly? Those are the questions that will define whether this reset was a turning point or just a temporary patch. But here's what's undeniable. Something shifted. The Browns have a direction now. And they have a young quarterback who's already shown he can manage adversity, stay composed under pressure, and compete even when the environment around him is working against him. That's not nothing. That's actually a lot. The foundation is there. The only question left is whether this team is ready to build something real on top of it. And honestly, after everything we just watched unfold, I think they might be.